guys, welcome back to another podcast. We're on episode 5, believe it or not. It's been 5 weeks since we officially started the podcast. Crazy stuff, right?
It's nuts. It's been super fun. I
Yeah.
continue to do this more. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's been going super fast. We've enjoyed the growth that we've experienced, the conversations we've had. Today we want to come at you with a little bit different stuff. Before we've talked about character, we've talked about the sexuality, like the aspect of the modern age that we're living in and all the problems that it has come with it.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about just general news in the media, like Jake Paul and Logan Paul's fights and stuff like that.
Property taxes in Hawaii.
Property taxes in Hawaii. We've covered it all. Today we wanted to cover something a little bit different. We wanted to talk about mediocrity. This is something that we all struggle with, right?
Yeah.
It's something, but that's the key word right there. Is it something that we just struggle with, or is it just a normal thing in the world, right? And that's what we want to kind of talk about. Is like, what can be good about mediocrity, but what is mediocrity something holding us back, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I think this would be a really interesting topic, and mediocrity isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like you said, mediocrities are here. So some things you want to be really great at, some things you're okay with not being the worst at.
Right.
And I think we're talking more of our audience is going to be young men around our age going through similar things we're going through, which kind of helps us. Getting off the couch, getting out of bed, first thing you do in the day, depending on when you fell asleep, it's going to be the most important decision you make that day.
To be good, right? The things we want to be successful in, right? And so what are those things? You can't be successful at everything.
No.
If you try, you're just going to become a jack of, you probably won't become a jack of all trades, right? Jack of all trades are pretty rare. You're not going to be a person who succeeds in every single thing that he or she does, right? So we have to decide for ourselves the things that we want to succeed in and the things that we're willing to be mediocre in, right? And I think a lot of people, they have such a hard time figuring out what it is that they want to succeed in that they become mediocre at everything because they try everything, right? And so all of their effort gets placed into everything and never allows them to, compound growth into one different category, right?
If you look at society, are people even mediocre anymore? Are people even okay at doing the most menial tasks?
Well, I would say that the standard of mediocrity has probably gone down, right? Because mediocrity is, in a way, it's an average, right?
So is that good or bad for society? Should we see this going down, and the standards are just getting lower and lower? Eventually, if the standards keep going down, it's just going to be just existing being mediocre. I think we want to even push past mediocrity. And we are all called to be the best version of ourselves, be better each day, no matter what it is. Yeah. We're not all called to be CEOs and influencers or whatever it may be, but we're all called to be better.
Or podcasters.
I mean, this is a rare breed of people. But I think we're all called to be better.
Right.
And what's that look like? We all struggle with being on our phones too much and not reading that book. We all struggle with spending too much time watching a very engaging TV show about lawyers when we could be building a business, if that's what we're so called to be doing.
Right.
We neglect our family and our friends to do something more selfish. How do we get out of that? How do we continue to raise the bar? Continue pushing the limit? You have social media influencers on the male side pushing men to be top G, CEO, all that, which is a great thing. All men aren't called to be that person. We're all called to be great men. And what does that look like now? What a man is kind of been lost. Masculinity is now toxic. And I think that that's what we need to be getting back and fighting for.
Yeah.
And it's because it's lost. What is it? How do we find that?
Yeah, I mean, I think social media has really made mediocrity seem like a bigger thing than it is, because a lot of people, everyone wants to be successful in some way, right?
Yeah.
No one wants to have their own downfall, right? No one hopes for their own downfall. Everyone hopes that they're going to succeed. They don't necessarily know what it is going to be or what it is that they want to succeed in, right? But when you have social media and you see someone succeeds in something like drop shipping, or it's some social media model, some photography page, somebody does affiliate marketing, just random stuff, right? These could be anything. Any one of these people could be succeeding in some sort of like e-commerce type thing, right? And when you see all of that and you're a person who doesn't succeed in any one of those things, it makes you think that you're mediocre in every one of those categories, right?
Yeah.
Because you haven't done any one of those things, but you see how easy it is that their life seems, right? And so this builds hopelessness into individuals because the more and more that they see different things that other people succeed in, the more and more mediocrities they realize that they have, right? And so this builds a terrible mindset, I think, in individuals in society where the more and more stuff that they see that other people succeed in are other things that they can't succeed in because they can't do all those things at once. And so when you think that you're hopeless and mediocre and all these different things, you don't have any drive to become successful in any one of them because you can't decide which one would be the right one for you, right?
Do you think that's causing a gap between the people that are actually pushing and succeeding? The
100%.
so let's how do we merge that gap? How do we get the people that are here and feel hopeless to start pushing and going back to that what society used to be?
Yeah.
Great people, great men and women who have self-worth,
Hmm.
who work hard and enjoy life.
You have to make the small things mean something again, right? Back in the day, I saw someone talking about this. Back in the day, when you came back from World War II, for example, by the way, these people did remarkable things, right, in World War II. These were remarkable men that went and fought and died for their country. But, back in the day, they would just come back and they would become a plumber, they would become an electrician, they would become a mailman. And all three of these jobs, though they were basically just menial tasks, right? These were respectable jobs that anyone in society could have back then. Back
Yeah.
then, that would provide for a big family. You could do that. You could have a living wage. You would go back home. You'd probably be married. You'd have 4 or 5 kids or something like that. And you'd be totally fine. Nowadays, you can't do that. You can't have that type of job. There's no sort of experience for you to go into some hopefully you never have to have that experience of being a soldier in war and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's no way for people to have a job like that and have the same seat in society because those jobs are looked down upon now. So there's a lot of pressure that gets mounted on people from they don't want to become a plumber because a plumber has a cap, right? And we've seen so many jobs that don't have caps anymore. People aren't satisfied with stuff that has a cap. So what I would say is this: you have to bring caps back into society. You need to bring honor and integrity back to a job like an electrician or a job like a plumber or even just jobs like being a police officer or being a firefighter or being a person who deals with steel, who works at a factory for paper, just random stuff like that, like old town America, stuff that used to produce stuff for the rest of the country. Those were the jobs that really provided depth and character for individuals, right? We don't have that anymore. And people don't want that because they want something that just brings in more cash. They don't want something that brings in character,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I think you're very right. I think if we look at it now, I think you have these social media influencers who are making tens of thousands of dollars a day, and that they make it look easy.
Yeah.
Some people it is, but it's not realistic. I think our expectations as a society are not realistic anymore. And being a plumber, I don't think is bad, and people in society don't think it's bad. It's just not looked at the same as being a social media influencer,
It's not
being a
flashy
drop.
on social media,
Yeah, and I
right?
think that's what people we need to get back to our roots and get back to reality. We're
Yeah.
out of reality right now. Not everyone's going to be famous.
Hmm.
Not everyone's going to be an amazing drop shipper. People need to be in these positions. These positions, the people that are in them they have great lives still to this day. Plumbers can make a crazy amount of money
Hmm.
and more money out of college than people that with 4 years degrees and master's degrees.
Yeah.
And people need to see that and go, okay, yes, it's not. I'm not dancing on the internet,
Yeah.
but you're making a difference in society, and you have a great living wage.
Yeah.
And we need to get back to reality
Yeah.
at the root of it. Social media has completely change what reality is.
I think LA influencers have really killed a lot of younger people's drive to have jobs with character like that, right? Like kids just want to become YouTubers, right? Back in
Yeah.
the day when I was growing up, I wanted to be a soldier. I wanted to be like an astronaut. I wanted to be a scientist. You know, just some random stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
And
normal
I
kid
think
things.
normal everyday kids to this day still think that. But the difference is now, when I was growing up and when you were growing up, YouTube didn't exist in the same way that it did.
No.
Whereas nowadays, kids who are growing up see people like Logan Paul, they see people like Jake Paul, they see people like David Dobrik, like you know these big high top influencers on YouTube who live in LA or they live in Puerto Rico now in the case of the Paul brothers. But the stereotype, right?
Yeah.
They live in LA. They live in these really nice apartments with nice futuristic looking walls and computers and high tech and everything like
Yeah.
that. And that's all kids really aspire to. They just want that type of lifestyle,
Yeah.
but they don't understand the work style that it takes to get there, right? And they don't realize that just being like we were talking about mediocrity before, if you're able to push past the boundaries of mediocrity, you can succeed and have that type of lifestyle in every single type of job market that there is. You
Oh
can
yeah.
be the best plumber on the planet and have your own business where you've hired 50 different plumbers and you're pulling in a gob wad of cash every year. You can do that. You can do that with anything. But the problem is you just have to pick one thing and you have to go for it. You have to absolutely go for it. You have to make that your life. You have to make that your drive, your passion, your goals, right?
Yeah.
It's your life. You do what you want. Are you going to chase a bunch of different things and become mediocre at all of them and never succeed in anything? Or would you rather just choose one thing that you can just go to and at the end of the day, and you know, after 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is, you've done all your work, you can say, I'm an expert at this. I'm one of the best in the field and I've earned my spot in this industry, right?
Yeah. And I think going back to like who Logan Paul is and these influencers, they're the outliers.
Yeah,
You don't go
they're
to
the
a
one
you don't go to a,
percent.
yeah you don't go to a town and you see there's Charlie D'Amelio and like that's not realistic.
Yeah,
And also we're putting all of our self-worth on social media, on how many followers we have, how many likes we get, and that means absolutely nothing. We need to go back to the family. We go back to being men and women being women,
yeah,
helping each other out and growing a community.
yeah.
I grew up in a small town. We all knew each other. We all helped each other out. It was beautiful. It was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's just downfalls, but everyone was working for the greater good of each other,
Yeah,
for the community.
yeah,
That's lost. You can be in a small town. You don't know who the person is next to you because they don't care. They're trying to get to LA and be a Charlie D'Amelio. That does not happen. It's not realistic.
yeah,
Go back to our roots. Go back to our normal values.
yeah.
It's That's what we need to be doing.
It's commitment, right? It's 100% commitment. You form a covenant bond with whatever it is that you want to do. Like, for example, you know, we say in the Christianity, for example, when you have a relationship with God, your relationship with God presides over everything, right? You should 100%, God should be your focus. Jesus should be your focus. The sacraments should be your focus, right? These are things that you have to 100% commit to. If you commit 1% away from them, they don't mean as much as they don't become fulfilling, right?
Yeah.
If you do something with, you know, 1% of you doesn't really want it, that's not really what you want, right? You should want always whatever it is that you're trying to do. You should always be 100% committed to fulfilling it, right? And fulfillment always comes as a perfection. And perfection means that something is complete. And complete means that it's ended, right? There's something so you're never fully perfect until the end of something, right? Think about that again, right?
Yeah.
If I want to become perfect in something, I need to strive for it my entire life, right? Which means that I will never have completely fulfilled what it is that I wanted on this earth with my jobs or my goals or my passions until it's completely perfected, which means that it won't happen until the very end,
So let's
right?
break this down. So we're talking about perfection and getting our purpose in life. How the heck do people find that? Right. That's we need to go down to the basics of what it is,
Yeah,
and we need to figure out like we talk it through because I don't think there's a direct answer for it. I don't have the exact answer. We're still figuring it out ourselves.
yeah,
We're both in careers that we didn't think that we would be in, and we're doing well. we're not doing bad, we're doing well, and continuing growing, that I and my soul know that this is not where I'm going to be for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But I'm working hard in it and putting my 100% full attention and effort into it. But how do we find that? What truly is your purpose? Is it in a career? Is it in a sport? Is it in video games? Or as we believe as Catholics, is it in God and family?
Yeah.
And I believe people's purposes are lost in what the world is. Everything's in worldly things.
Yeah.
Nothing's in heavenly things. People might say they're Christian,
Right.
might say they're Muslim, Hindu, and they're not practicing it.
Yeah.
They're anything that they do is for nothing. Who are you?
Right.
You can't believe in something, like you said, and 1% of you not do it. You have to, if you're in something, you're 110% in, or you're not in it at all.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You're not fully in it, right? That's the key thing to say, is like, you're not actually in it if 1% of you is out, right? You're partially in it.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to get to the point where we're fully into something. And it can be as direct or indirect as you like, right? Your simple life goal could be something simple as saying, like, I want to be a father, or I want to be a mother. And you might think that that is something that is really simple, but there are stuff that comes along with that. What takes a good father, right? Father takes care of his children, or he takes care of his spouse, his wife, or whatever it
Yeah.
is, and what comes with that? Well, he needs to have some sort of living wage. He needs to be able to take care of his kids. He needs to be able to protect them from harm's way. He needs to be able to guide them to make good life decisions and grow them into good adults, right? There's a lot of different stuff that comes with that. So we have to compartmentalize our lives into different moments, right? So I want to become a good father, I need to nurture the skills inside of myself right now to be able to guide my children. I need to be able to put myself in a position where I can protect them. I need to put myself in a position where I can provide for them, right? These are all different things. And there's a lot of different ways that we can do that, right? I can get a job. I can look for a specific type of job. Hopefully, my goal would be to put myself in one specific type of industry so that I can become an expert inside of that industry, right?
Yeah.
Protecting, I can exercise, I can train myself to fight, I can do different things like that, but I can also I can read, I can learn more about the world, different things like that. And just, there's a lot of stuff that you have to do, but you have to compartmentalize stuff as goals,
Yeah.
right?
I think this comes back to what we talked about in other podcasts, is character. If you don't know who you are yet,
Yeah.
you can't do anything fully successfully.
Right.
You can't get a good job because you're not who you are. And so if anybody wants to be successful and they want to pursue something, pursue a goal, they need to, again, go back to their base, build their base. You
Yeah.
need discipline, you need attentiveness, and you need drive.
Yeah.
You don't have these three things, you're never going to be successful. And it starts with the little things: getting out of bed at the same time every morning, working hard in whatever you want to do. And if you set little goals to better yourself,
Yeah.
working out, reading, eating well, do them.
Yeah.
Start at the basic human needs: working out, feeding yourself, and getting enough sleep, and then build off of that.
Yeah.
It's hard when I watch people on the internet. They kind of tell you, they start here. You could do this with drop shipping, blah, 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 and you do this and you'll be fine. But they don't tell you all of this.
Yeah.
And I think what we need to figure out and continue to talk about in not only this podcast, but all the podcasts to come, is breaking down this into this, starting from here and building up. Everyone, I think people know where they want to be. Again, the base is lost.
And I think another way that we can do that, there's another strategy, and it kind of goes back to the original topic that we were talking about, which is mediocrity. And this goes into why we said that mediocrity isn't necessarily a bad thing, because what you can do is you can eliminate all the stuff that you're going to be mediocre for the rest of your life, right? And when you cut out all those things, you leave yourself with the things that you're actually good at, right? So as an example, in my life, when I was in high school, I played a lot of different sports. I played basketball, I played soccer, I did diving, I did swimming, I played golf. And one of the things I really wanted to excel in at the time was diving.
Yeah.
So I cut out basketball, I cut out soccer. I cut out diving. I cut out swimming. Not diving because that's the thing I wanted to be good. I cut out like golf.
I want to be good, so I stopped doing it.
So I cut out all those things so that I could specifically just focus on becoming a better diver. And I did become a better diver for a little while until I decided to move on to the next thing. But this is one of the things. It's like if you want to succeed in one thing, you can't decide what that thing is. Cut out all the other things that you know that you're not going to succeed at. Start limiting yourself to the things that you really want to enjoy and the things you really want to do. And you'll find that you actually do have a niche, even if it seems like you're a jack of all trades and that you have interest in every single industry and sport and game and, anything that's out there. You're not. You're not interested in everything. You're not a jack of all trades, even though we all try to be, right? We all want to be good at everything, but we're not. We're not good at everything, and you're not good at everything. So try to choose the things that you are actually good at and the things that you do actually have interest in, right?
Yeah, I think I'm always going to come back, find your base, build your base.
Yeah.
You can be good at whatever you choose to be good at, but you have to have some sort of foundation. Going into any sport, if you want to be good at a sport, you still need to have your foundation. You want to be good at a job, your foundation.
Mm-hmm.
As a good husband, you have to have a foundation. Everything's good. Like when you get in a pickle, you're going to always fall back on your training, on your foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be really interesting how we break up this kind of conversation throughout our next episodes and throughout our lives. We're still figuring this stuff out.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to best have a conversation type podcast. Figure out how to build a business, how to balance work and life and everything going on. Like there's so many things going on in our lives right now, and figuring out that balance.
Mm-hmm.
And our audience we're gonna be growing together.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be an easy transition, but we just have to continue to push, find your base, and work hard at the little things.
Yeah. Well, here's what I would say is like because we were talking a little bit about mindset as well, and a mindset that you can talk about, for example, is Kobe Bryant, right? And Kobe Bryant had a really interesting mindset where a lot of people dumb it down to saying like Kobe Bryant just wanted to be better than everyone, which is true, but he did kind of limit himself. Kobe Bryant never tried to become the best center. And Kobe Bryant never tried to become the best coach.
Yeah.
Because he didn't play either of those positions and he wasn't a coach. What Kobe Bryant tried to do was just be the best player where he was on the court at that time. He limited himself to what he was doing at every single moment of his game, right?
Yeah.
And so by doing that, he never had to become the best center. He never had to be the best point guard. He never even had to be the best power forward or something like that, right? He was a small forward shooting guard, and that's what he tried to be. And by doing that, he cemented himself as being one of the best players of all time. I think this is something that kind of hits against like LeBron James almost. Is like LeBron James has always said that he can play every position, and he probably can. But if LeBron James just limited himself to saying like I'm the best small forward of all time, that's a case that he could easily make. But he can't say that he's the best player of all time because when he says that, he tries to say it in the way that he is the best all-around player, which I don't really think is something that works for you in the same way.
It's a fun conversation to have right now.
It's a completely different conversation. But
Michael Jordan's the best. We all know that, but it's okay. I think breaking down, I'm trying to figure out the fruits of what you're saying with the Kobe Bryant thing. He focused on his position, his role. He focused on who he is. He focused on being the best him he can be, being better each day in the role that his team needed him to be in. You have a family. You're in a community. How can you be the best person in that community to help everybody else? How can you be the best you can be in everything you're doing?
A father has to be a father. A father can't be a mother. So a father needs to focus on being a better father.
Yeah,
right?
A son needs to be focused on the best son. A student needs to be focusing on the best student. At different times in life, you're doing different things.
Yeah.
And so if you're working and say a job, all you're doing is to essentially hit a button all day.
Yeah.
Be the best person at hitting that button. Continually push to be the best you can be in any situation you are. That's what I get when you talk about the Kobe Bryant being in his position.
Yeah.
Is being the best you can be right now in this spot. Set that base, work up. No matter what. If you set it here, and you get up to here, you always fall back. You only fall back here. So if you keep setting bases, setting like when you're like trading, you set the stop losses, whatever it's called. You won't come back anywhere below.
Well, I think an even better position, something like an even better example is a pitcher in baseball. A pitcher in baseball does not, like, especially in the MLB, they can't hit. They don't hit. They're not allowed to hit.
There's only one person can hit.
There's only one thing that they are driven to do, which is to throw the baseball.
That's their position. Yeah,
so they're allowed to be mediocre as a fieldsman or as a catcher or as a first baseman or as a hitter, right? Because that's not what they're trained to do. They're just trained for a specific purpose, to be absolutely stellar and deadly at throwing a baseball.
Yeah, it's. I think we're saying similar things.
Yeah, no, we are. I think the important takeaway from this is that, you know, you can accept mediocrity, and accepting mediocrity is not necessarily a bad thing if it allows you to drive yourself more towards success in another thing. And I think we can probably leave it at that. I think that's where we want to leave off, is like, accept the mediocrity that allows you to succeed in one thing.
Yeah.
Don't be mediocre if you're not going to succeed in anything.
No, yeah, and I think this just opens up for us to have many different conversations down the line about how to be successful. I think we need to break that down to even more smaller, more tangible things, an actual outline.
Yeah.
We need to break down what we've done to get to where we are today as human beings.
Yeah.
What you've done in school, what I've done in school. Start there, work up. And then I still want to touch a lot about on how men can be the best men we can be. And
100%.
Maybe give women insight of how we think. I don't think they fully understand what the heck goes on up here. I think we're to continue to grow, continue to have good conversations, and I mean we're learning this. So I really appreciate you guys being here. Like and subscribe. Please drop in the comments what we could do better, and we're out.
Yeah, we're out.